Okay, we are live. Let's do this. Welcome, audience, and we are about to begin our live recording of our not live aired recording. In 3, 2, 1, and hello and welcome to episode 237 of the Nerd Extravaganza podcast, where we endeavor to always slog tenaciously through life. I'm Tom.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Cam.
And in tonight's episode, we'll be discussing some kind of daunting undertakings that we've undertaken, I guess. You undertake an undertaking, I suppose, in the form of like maybe a massive book or project or piece of entertainment, just something that you didn't think you had it in you to do and you got through it anyway. But before we get to that, I will remind our listeners that they can slog it out with us every week and should on iTunes, where we really appreciate their support. And with that said, let's kick things off in our usual Nerd Extravaganza style with our geekly weekly slog update. Brian, what have you been trudging through this week?
About the only thing that really slogged through this week was I did another anime convention with LAE Cosplay Photography.
Cool.
We were at Anime EY, which was quite a fun convention, but you don't get to do much of it when you're a vendor. So kind of sat around for a few hours and waited for all the fun to start.
How was the vending? I know the LAE Cosplay Photography is always a fun enterprise to work for.
Pretty good. A lot of people around us were doing very well. You know Gaijin Taiyaki, right?
Do I? Are they the ones?
The fish cake people?
Oh yeah. I went to that's yeah. I know those people. I went to their Halloween party. Yes, I am friends with them. I won't mention them by name for wanting to keep their identity private.
They sold out Sunday. They were near us and chatting all week, or all weekend. I did not catch her corporate name, but the young lady directly next to us that was selling perler bead pixel art did really well.
Wow, so this was a smaller convention, but the vendors really cleaned up?
Yeah, it looks like it. I mean, I can't
Nice.
speak for all of them. I mean, there was some, people stuck in corners that I don't know how well they did. But overall, I think it was pretty successful.
Sweet. And what was it called one more time?
Anime EY.
Anime. Okay, and that is it.
Ewok.
Okay, oh, I got you. And where is that based?
Deerfield Beach. It's the Double Tree on Hillsborough.
Okay, so for those
This
of
is
you...
kind of like the spiritual successor to Chibi-Pa.
Yeah, that actually makes sense. Okay, so for those of you inclined to visit the South Florida area here in the United States of America, swing by Deerfield Beach this time of year for a cool convention where you'll see Brian doing some vending. And apparently some other people that I know doing some vending. Those fish cakes are awesome. What else, Brian?
We were actually so what usually happens is, it's kind of a natural food. There's no canning, no salting, anything like that. So towards the end of the convention, giving the vendors a break, hey, we need to clear this out. You guys want a discount? And we were all kind of bummed. None of us got any fish cakes this year.
Oh, that sucks. Well, good. It's good for them.
Yeah.
I was speaking to them at their Halloween party, and that business is actually awesome for them. It really has worked out well. They stay busy, and they sell a lot of those things, man. So really nice people too. So they deserve their success.
Yeah, it's neat. I saw them, I guess 2-3 years ago when they started, and seriously, they're like the top 3 vendors this time around. It was kind of neat to see them skyrocket.
That's sweet, man. I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy to hear that they're killing it, as they say. Awesome. Anything else?
Been reading, wrapped up Neuromancer, And I really highly recommend that to either of you. The predecessor to so many things, like Johnny Mnemonic, Matrix, of course, anything Shadowrun you're into, that's where it came from. Just cool as shit.
Yeah, I've heard that mentioned. Remember when I was on that, going through that like, well, not phase. Remember when I was reading all those like kind of semi-academic books about virtual reality and how people like behave in alternate worlds and so on a couple years ago? That book was mentioned more than once during my reading, so I'm gonna have to check that out.
Free on in the library system.
Yeah, I got to get on that one more time. The name of the free library loan system is
Overdrive.
Check it out at a library near you while you can.
Yeah.
No.
And lastly, I've actually getting ready to do some Christmas shopping, and I just have some like picky friends this year. So I'm going online. I'm looking at like eBay to get like old collectibles that you can't just pick up at Tate's or anything like that. And I don't know, man. I kind of forgot how fun eBay could be. I haven't been able to actually get anything yet, but picking it out and watching it tick down and everything, it's a lot of fun.
Man, that's cool. I haven't messed around with eBay in a while just because of all the dash hopes over the years.
Yeah, I will say it's actually interesting how much fun you can have without spending a dime.
Just monitoring the auctions, you mean, or
trying to spend a dime?
Oh yeah, gotcha. Well, I'm not picky. Don't feel like you have to go out and. Well, I'm presuming I'm even on the list. But if I were,
there is no chance that she will listen to this, so I don't mind telling you. My mother, like, has this sad story about, her 8-year-old self, like, loving to play the accordion.
Oh.
And I don't know what exactly happened, but like this wicked businessman, like, ha, I don't honor the receipts that my secretary wrote when I wasn't in the office. That payment didn't count, and repossessing it.
No, what?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I'm trying to track down like the model accordion that she played in 1955.
Or the businessman. Either his head or the accordion would suffice, right?
Yeah.
Wow, that's like some Dickens style, like, yeah, you'll never play again.
And I don't know if you guys know this, accordions are fucking expensive.
Shit, I would guess so if there's a chance of repossession. Damn, man, that's heartbreaking. I hope you can make that right.
How do you repossess an accordion? I mean, you just show up at the person's house and say, give it back?
Yeah, well, I guess it was like a music studio or whatever. So she had like, a lesson one night, and he was just like, "Well, you're behind, so can't take it home." Or I don't know.
He did it though. So the upside of this, the possible good outcome of this, Brian, though, is you're gonna have to listen to an accordion in the house. Are you prepared for that?
Yeah, I'll manage. I listen to really loud rock music anyway, so
perfect.
I'll drown it out.
Nice. Anything else?
No.
All right. Some e-commerce and some real-life commerce at a real-life convention. Very well themed this week, Brian. All right, Cam, over to you. Can you put together a what's the word I'm looking for? Well, a package like Brian did, basically. I've got no vocabulary this week.
I can't compare with Brian's package.
Good one.
So, no, I had a pretty tame week. I had the in-laws, future in-laws in town. So that was nice. I showed them some of the South Florida haunts, took them to, some couple places we like to hang out at around here, and took them to game night at not at the Adventure Game Store, but at Landlubbers, as sponsored by the Adventure Game Store.
Nice. And
we had a good time there. I don't drink, but my brother and my future father-in-law definitely imbibed in several beers and several shots, and they had a great time. And then I was just getting ready for and then leaving for BGG Con, which is where I'm at now.
Awesome. BGG being Board Game Geek, for those people who do not know. And the Adventure Game Store being our sponsor here in our balmy South Florida home.
Yes, not so balmy before. It was actually really nice and cool.
By our standards, I think this is still considered balmy by most of the world.
Probably.
Yeah, but it's like we were like walking last night at like it's like 72.
Another one of our famous cold fronts.
Yeah.
You got to wear socks with your flip flops.
Yeah, actually, I did. Well, no, I won't cop to that. Awesome, Cam. So you've been keeping busy. Anything else?
That's it, really. I mean, that's all I've had time for.
Yeah. Okay, I understand. The future in-laws will take your time. Which brings it around to me. I have been playing a lot of Kingdoms of Amalur: The Reckoning. I beat the Teeth of Naros expansion. I like kind of diverged from the main quest and went and did that. So now I'm like super OP, as they say, and I'm just like destroying everything I kill in the main world. I encounter in the main world now. I'm like one-shotting stuff with my bow now. It's like that bad.
Nice.
Yeah, but pretty badass. Yeah, and apart from that, just kind of keeping busy. I'm trying to think. I want to say I did some other geeky stuff, but it's not springing readily to mind. Pretty much a hell of a lot of playing that, which definitely qualifies as an update. And I think, wow, this might be a really short and sweet update for me. I think that's pretty much. Oh, I'm contemplating. I'm trying to put a team together for this Internet of Things hackathon that's going on down here. I don't know if it's going to come to pass, but I will keep you posted. I will never mention it again if it doesn't come to pass. If it does come to pass, I will tell you more about it. How's that? I read an article that said if you actually are too vociferous with your goals, if you state your goals openly, you tend to not actually meet them for some reason. I think because maybe like once they're out there, I don't know, they feel accomplished. Does that make any sense?
No.
Okay. Well, think of all the times you or others have said, I'm going to do this, and then never did it. It may just be that... Oh, somebody's getting an Amber Alert.
Yeah, everyone's getting Amber Alerts.
Yeah.
Great, I'll be getting one soon.
Unfortunately, I'm not in Florida to see anything.
Mine will be popping off soon enough. But yeah, anyway, be careful with putting your goals out there because if you apparently if you air them, you may not accomplish them. So I have no goals, and that's it for me. And that concludes the updates, which means I feel like something should come next. I don't like things have been going on in the world. What would you call that, Cam?
Sponge cake.
Sponge cake. It's time.
Then yeah, it's time for coffee and sponge cake.
Time for the sponge cake extravaganza with sponge cake correspondent Cam. Take it away, Cam.
No, the news in the news today is pretty expansive. Let's see. Stephen Hawking doesn't think we're going to make it past another 1,000 years. Did you guys
wonder why? No, I wonder what got him thinking that way, though, all of a sudden.
Yeah, exactly. Couldn't have anything to do with the latest election, I'm sure. But yeah, he thinks we need to keep looking to the stars, as they say. And I don't disagree. Speaking of the stars, little bit of Star Wars news. Number one, Carrie Fisher came out with a book, and she says that she had an affair with Harrison Ford while they were filming the original, episode 6. No, I'm sorry, episode 4. So back in 77 when they were filming, or back in the 70s, she was 19, he was 33 and married, and they had a torrid 3-month love affair in London.
Damn. I mean,
sure Star Wars nerds are salivating over that, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I wonder. Well, I wonder if if they wore the costumes, or if they were.
That would be awesome. And speaking of Star Wars, you know the Nissan Rogue, that car?
Yeah,
yes.
The Rouge.
Yeah, the Rogue. Well, it appears that they've teamed up with Star Wars. I guess name recognition, and they are producing. Because Rogue One is coming out next month, they are producing Star Wars themed Rogue SUVs. And they're going to be limited edition, only basically Well, I guess there's 1,100 dealerships, and each one is getting 4. So that's what, 4,400.
Yeah, that's okay. Wow. I wonder, any idea what these are costing?
They didn't say how much more it would be, but they do come with like, they've got. Oh, actually, there's going to be 5,000, but some of them are going to be in Canada. So basically, the rest are going to be in the U.S. They come with like a little limited edition plate that's on the car on the outside, and then like in the cup holders, like if you look down, there's like the Rebel and the Empire symbol. There's a couple other things, but the coolest thing that it comes with is a real life size Imperial Death Trooper mask or helmet.
That's cool.
Yeah, it comes with a really like pretty cool ass helmet.
I hope it doesn't obscure your vision, because people are going to be using that while driving, of course.
Yeah, they don't ship it with the car. I guess they like ship it to you separately from the car, but they probably don't want you like driving off the lot with it on and then crashing and suing them.
That'd be bad PR, right?
Yeah, but yeah. So each dealership is going to get 4 of them, 2 in black, 2 in white. But I mean, who's going to buy the white ones, right?
Well, Rebel people, I guess. I don't know.
I guess that's stormtroopery.
Yeah. So that's pretty exciting. If I were in the market for a Nissan Rogue, I probably would go for that, but I think I'll pass.
Holding out for that Tesla, that Star Wars themed Tesla.
Yeah, the Star Wars themed Tesla. Well, I've been looking into that more and more, and it's it's not just the Tesla, but I didn't even think about the fact that I'm gonna have to put up like a power wall and all kinds of shit in my garage.
Well,
which would mean I would have to clean my garage. So it's all getting very cumbersome.
You just need a plug, Cam. You don't need the power wall. That's like if you want to like electrify your house, but you can just put in the charger.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It seems a lot of work. We'll see.
Oh man, it's totally worth it. It's totally worth it
when it comes to pass. Well, maybe if I get in on this Snapchat IPO that's coming up, $25 billion IPO.
Wow.
Maybe I'll make enough money to buy a Tesla and have a Powerwall. So yeah, that's set to hit pretty soon. So basically, if you want to invest in Snapchat, you can give them your money and see if you'll make some. Facebook IPO didn't do too well, but
it didn't. Facebook didn't do too well, right?
It definitely was underwhelming in terms of expectations.
See, not that I'm some kind of investment maven here, Cam, but I feel like when there's a lot of hype built up by something like that, isn't the initial offering price already kind of high when there's a lot of hype behind it? And then you're already paying the premium. The idea is to get in on the IPO before the market gets wind of the actual value of the company. You know what I mean? And right.
So right. When the IPO actually happens, you're building value into your stocks. But everyone already knows Snapchat is, they've got like 150 million users daily. So, where are you going to go from there?
Yeah, that's what I don't understand. Like, what would justify an increase in the stock price once it's initially sold, right? Like, what?
Yeah, I mean, well, there are like 6-7 billion people in the world. I mean, I guess if they could, tap into, they conceivably could, go much higher than 150 million, but. I don't know, just taking all, MySpace and Facebook and all those other things into account. I mean, Twitter's like dying. I don't know if you guys have seen the news about that.
Yeah, really?
Twitter is like dying, yeah. And everyone thought Twitter was like never going to go anywhere.
I mean, what is it for at the end of the day if you think about Twitter?
Yeah.
I think it's a brilliant service. Like, I love it, but they did not think about making money. So,
yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, throw your money away if you want on Snapchat.
Okay.
The NES Classic Edition dropped this past week. Did you guys see that? No one could buy it, basically.
Right.
Once again, Nintendo has undershot demand. And everyone's pissed. It's funny, if you go on Amazon, it's got like half a star. Because everyone's just killing it with reviews on because they can't get it. It's like no one really even has the product. They're just giving it negative stars. Because
they've been doing this for 30 years. It obviously works for them.
Yeah. But you guys gonna buy one?
I'm not really. Brian,
Well,
you go first.
when you can get one for $60 rather than like 500.
I I guess it's not quite as legit. Like, are those games abandonware, or should you still pay for them or whatever? But I don't know. I just feel like there's so many more convenient ways to play those. Like, how did they not upgrade the controller? It's got a cord.
Not only that, but the cord is like 1 foot long. you gotta like
Yeah, I
sit on
heard it
top
was
of the
really
TV to
short.
play
I
with
heard
it.
everybody complain.
That's retro, man. What a. I mean, I'm going to confess some serious ignorance. I have ignored this product completely. Is it just like the NES, or like how does it differ from the original?
No,
It's
like
much
like
smaller.
Yeah, it's like 1/3 the size, and you can't play cartridges. Like, there's no place to put cartridges. It just comes preloaded with 30 games.
Like 30 classics, but probably only 10 that you're actually going to enjoy. Like, your taste might be 10, Cam's might be 10, maybe different 10, but I don't think anybody's going to oh wow for all 30 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a flash drive essentially that looks like an NES full of games.
Well, but it is a console. You plug it into the TV and all, so
Mm.
and then you sit, dangerously close because of the short controllers.
I might pass unless I get it cheap.
Do you know that, Brian? Do you know if you can add more games to it? I know there's no cartridge interface, but is there like a flash drive or something, or like a USB where you can?
I can't imagine there's not, but I haven't heard of anything like that. I don't think there's. Maybe they have the Amiibo contact on top.
I mean, it's definitely a pretty stellar lineup. I mean, I would say I'd play more than 10 of the games. But it's still, like you said, there's only 30, and if you can't add more, I mean, that's shitty. But what do you want for $60, right?
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure I see the value there, especially because I probably own a lot of the games on multiple formats already.
Yeah, I mean, if you have any kind of emulator, it doesn't matter.
I mean, aren't they mostly available on the actual Nintendo store anyway? So if you have a Wii U, I'm sure they'll be available on Switch.
Yeah, probably. Well, speaking of the Switch, that made a bunch of waves a couple months ago, and it's rumored that a new Super Mario game, a new Skyrim game, and a new Splatoon game are going to be launched when the Switch launches next year.
I'll let you know because I'll be in line.
But what is definitely not going to be released is the Zelda Breath of the Wild game. They're basically saying it's definitely not going to launch when the Switch launches. But they are saying that there are going to be different price points, so it seems that there's going to be different bundles probably with different games. You know what I mean? So, Tom, you can let us know about that.
No, I know you're Nintendo fanboy and are probably going to buy it no matter what, Tom. But are you actually excited about that, or you just going to buy it because it's the next Nintendo console?
About the Switch, I'm kind of excited about it. I like the idea of taking basically how do I put it? Basically something more powerful than the Vita with me everywhere I go. I don't know. I liked the Vita because it was it felt like a handheld console. This literally is a handheld console that you can take with you on the go. Something about taking Skyrim with me as I travel just sounds badass.
Yeah, it definitely seems cool, but I wonder if it's going to be as cool as it seems like in the videos and all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no telling. I mean, truthfully, I'm most excited about the new IPs, like the new Zelda game, all that stuff.
Yeah, and I'm not sold on the handhelds either. I mean, how many things am I going to carry around with me? I mean, I've got an iPhone, I've got an iPad. Why can't they interface with that? That's my question.
The Switch might just have a telephone built into it. Then you're all set. That's all you need.
Yeah, right. And speaking of Nintendo and our topic of slogging through things, You remember how we've talked before about like those escape rooms, and I've done a couple. I think Tom, you said you've done some. Or are you planning to?
Yeah, I've done a couple. They're awesome.
Yeah. Well, if you are lucky enough to live in a city that is desirable, the basically there is a Defenders of the Triforce escape game for Legend of Zelda, and you can actually like play like an escape game like in real life. They're doing it basically in January. They're going to be doing it in San Francisco, in February in Los Angeles, and then in late February in San Diego. And then they're also setting up dates for Seattle, Phoenix, Houston, Chicago, and New York for after that. So you can actually go and participate in a Zelda-themed escape game, which seems pretty awesome.
That actually sounds really awesome. Is that something that you just have to? So if you're lucky enough to be in a city, is it like a lottery to get in on this thing or something?
Yeah, you got to sign up and all that.
Yeah. Well, here's hoping.
Yeah, right.
That'd be kind of cool. Although, I don't know. I just don't feel like I belong in that universe. Something about just like me in a t-shirt. I'd feel out of place. Anyway, that's cool. Is that just what is Nintendo doing that as a promotion, like for the Switch or something, or did I miss that when you were discussing it?
Well, no, they partnered with this company, and Nintendo they just basically partnered with this company and said, okay, go ahead, make an escape game, and you can you can base it on Zelda. And so they basically have come up with this. The only thing that kind of seems kind of shitty to me is that it's only six players, and you sit at a table, and then you have to like start searching around for clues and solving puzzles and try to escape. And then afterwards, when you're done, you have like a Zelda-themed area and party and merchandise and videos and stuff like that.
You object to the six-player aspect? You want it to be like more? Or?
Yeah, I mean, six seems like a little small to me.
I don't know, man. Too many chefs in the kitchen in an escape room, and things get kind of messed up.
True. Yeah, I mean, I think 10 is probably manageable.
I see this being an attraction in the new Universal Studios theme park, actually. Way to suck people in and get them to do the escape room. And then when you make it out, you get to go on a ride.
Yeah, that would be cool if they could boil it down to like a 2 or 3 minute thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like make the queue fun.
Right. Yep, and that's my news.
Nice, yeah. The quality of your ride, like what you see on the ride, is determined based on how well you do in the queue.
Yeah, sort of like that test track where you got to build your own.
Yeah.
Car.
Yeah. All right, man. That's it for news. In that case, I guess it's time to get on with tonight's episode. And man, I'm looking at it and I'm not even sure I can tackle it. It's a lot to take on, and I'm not even sure I could deal with it. But
we can slog through it.
Yeah, we'll slog through it. Deal with it. We shall. Basically, the idea here is, I actually happen to be looking at Dune on my shelf again, which is a massive book. And I know I'm going to like it, but I just have yet to dig into it because it's really intimidating. And that got me thinking about a lot of things that were intimidating, at first glance. And then I ended up being like really happy I dove into it in the end. And so I thought we would kind of talk about that kind of stuff, like things we just kind of toughed out and how that turned out for us. So I don't know. When you guys want to go first, you kind of get the idea. Books, shows, academic endeavors, anything. Take your pick of anything.
I'll let Brian go first.
I'll start off by telling you, like, seriously, after the show tonight, start Dune.
Okay, I will. I'll get on that.
I am not through like the entire universe of it, because if you think that one book is long, there's like 18 more just as long.
Wow.
But really great series. About the only thing that I can think a really true slog, and I know probably all three of us will have mentioned this. I'm sure some of our audience can relate. Is I hate traveling alone. Man, when you go up to Disney to like meet friends or something, and you're just like, oh, I'm gonna have this awesome weekend, and it's gonna be cool. I'm gonna see Mickey Mouse and Pluto, and I'm gonna go to Epcot, and fuck, 3 hours of talk radio.
So a journey, any kind of a road trip by yourself is just like bleh for you.
It's killer alone, man. Like I've never really, with any single person, no matter how like, you know, business trips or anything like that, as long as there's another person there, it's better than being alone.
That surprises me about you, Brian. I feel like I mean, I love to be alone. Like I love to drive alone. I love to travel alone. I'll go see a movie alone. Like I don't know. I like that.
There's just something about like the monotony of the road that just, I don't know, like kills it for me. I'll totally go eat alone or movie alone or something like that, but trapped in a car for 3 hours, ugh.
Now you have Overdrive audiobooks.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. I've made that like the trip up to Disney. It's like a 3-hour drive from where we are. It's the fact that I know what's waiting for me that gets me through it. But yeah, that is tough. So a long road trip, yeah, I could see that being tough to get through. But in the end, it's always worked out, I assume, Brian, right? It was worth the trip just to be able to visit, like, say, the Magic Kingdom or a loved one up in that area.
Yeah, I can't really, I mean, I'm sure sometimes I've driven for, well, no, it wasn't alone for them. No, I think every solo trip has been worth it. You know, either a convention or Disney or, like you said, you know, meeting someone special. Fine.
Yeah, definitely better to share that journey, though, especially if you can have a good conversation along the way. And somebody's not like sitting there on their phone the whole time while you're doing the driving.
Oh, it is. I have had a few people just like, all right, you're driving. Oh, fall asleep. Wake me up when we're there.
Yeah, that's worse than driving alone, in my opinion. Like, I don't want to be doing this. I hate driving, and you have the nerve to sit here and be comfortable and enjoy yourself while I drive. That gets on my nerves.
Shotgun has responsibilities. It's not, you know, just a privilege.
Yes, agreed. Cam, you actually like driving? Like, you could just drive by yourself for long periods of time and not be bored stiff?
Man, I've driven thousands of miles by myself, like hundreds of thousands of miles. I drove, like when I was in law school, I drove, you know, from Florida to DC and back several times. I've driven from like Dallas to Florida several times. I've driven from Michigan down to Florida and back a couple times. I just throw in an audiobook or music or whatever and just drive, man.
Man, I've done it myself.
Traffic. I can't stand traffic, but as long as I'm moving, and you know, I'm fine.
Yeah, when I was in the military, I drove all around the country, just like going from state. You know, when I was changing duty stations and stuff. Like, I've done some pretty long trips by myself. A road trip where you're seeing a lot of different scenery in different parts of the country is different than like toughing it out on like the Atlanta Loop, you know, or something like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if you have a destination and you know like where you're going, that's fine. But like, you know, everyday commuting, that sucks. But like if you're going somewhere, then it's like a different feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. Okay, good example, Brian. Good example. So, Cam, how about you go next? What have you got in the way of an example of something you just were intimidated by, just slogged through?
God, I would just say every sandbox game ever that I've played. I mean, because I'm not satisfied with just beating the game, you know? I gotta get every achievement. God, like what, Assassin's Creed, it took up way too much of my life. Trying to find all the feathers, you know, of the pigeons, trying to get
oh my God.
Just slogging through, you know, or even just like the MMORPGs, it's just like mining for, you know, to level up and shit like that. I mean, it's just, you know, and then you finally get there and it's like, okay, great. And then now what, you know?
Wait, you get through it, like you finish the game and you feel like unsatisfied at that point, or?
No, I wouldn't say unsatisfied, but it's like, then it's like, okay, well, what's the next one I'm going to start?
Oh,
I mean, it's like a never ending, you know?
Yeah,
no accomplishment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I am with Amalur right now. Like, I have to do everything I can't just go straight through the storyline. And it was Dragon's Dogma before that, and I have to mix in like some, what are in theory more straightforward games like Batman, but then they have a million little side quests too that pull you in. So there's really no winning.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, I'm the I can't just go straight through, like say like Fallout or something. I know that if you just stay on the linear path, you'll finish the game, But I have to do the side missions. I have to go this. I have to get that. I have to find all the Nuka-Cola caps. Like for me, it's just too much.
Yeah, I know how it goes, man. To give you to this point though about it not really being an accomplishment, I like totally destroyed this boss the other day while my companion was watching in Kingdoms of Amalur, and I was like, man, I wrecked that guy. She looks over at me. She's like, yeah, you definitely press the buttons.
Yeah. Good job on the button mashing.
I'm not saying I questioned our relationship at that point, but definitely evaluated it for half a second. Man. All right, so I'm right there with you on those games, man. Any kind of even a game with sandbox elements, you add a sandbox component, and I'm screwed. I long for the days of like linear platformers.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, what's wrong with Contra? Where you're just going and going and going, and you get to the end, you beat the boss, and you go to the next level, and you go, and maybe I will get the NES Classic.
Actually, yeah. You know what? Just for like taking my life back, that's a good idea.
but even that one, like I remember when I had with the original NES, I had I was so excited I got Zelda. Like when the first Zelda came out. And it had like the golden cartridge, and like you pull the cartridge out, it was like the freaking god singing, you know what I mean? And I would not sleep. I would not let that game. Like basically, I would leave. I don't know if you guys did this trick where like you just put the game on pause, and then just turn the TV off, and then just like went to school, and then came back home, and then turned the TV back on, and then unpause. You know what I mean? Because like they were like you couldn't save games. Like there's so many games you couldn't save, and if you died, that was it. So like, yeah, I remember just speaking of slogging, like I would not stop until I beat that game.
Yeah, I did that. You guys ever play the submarine game Silent Running?
Yes.
Wow. Well, I didn't realize that you could like zoom out to the map and like quick travel essentially. So I thought you literally like, I was like, this game is so realistic. It's going to take me like a day to get, with my diesel engines like taking me along to get from place to place. So I did that very thing. I turned the TV off and came back like at the end of the school day, and the game was glitching out because you weren't meant to like go that far in that mode.
Oh man! I think it was Silent Runner, wasn't it? Silent Running was the movie.
I thought Silent Running was the submarine game. Maybe, I don't know. I'll call it Runner. Whatever. The point is, you're supposed to be quiet and not get blown up by ships.
Yeah, exactly. That was the thing though too. Is that like I'm trying to remember what game it was. I mean, it's similar, I guess. I guess just Fallout is one of them. But like a lot of these games were like you have to go to a place before you can like quick travel to it. You know what I mean? Like, God, that's such a slog, especially when it's like all the way on the other side of the map. And that's sort of what I was getting at. With like the sandbox games. It's like, okay, yeah, go to this place and complete this mission. Great. But then it takes you like hours to walk there, even if you like quick travel to like the closest place. And then on the way there, of course, you encounter like 25 other things that sidetrack you. It's great. That's what the games are there for, right? I mean, that's what they want you to do. And I love doing it, I guess, but it's, thinking back on how many hours, like man hours I put into that thing, or woman hours, not to be sexist. I really would love to know that. I wish I had like an internal chronometer of like how much time I've spent playing video games, and just like see like how much of my life is gone because of those.
Yeah, hour counters in games are really bad. When I saw how much time I spent in Skyrim, I was like, no, this can't happen again.
Brian, are you still playing that one game? What the hell was it? Was it BDO?
Oh, Black Desert?
Yeah.
Kind of. Not nearly as often.
Yeah, I'd never even started because I knew like it'd be a big mistake for me.
They kind of. it's their business model. They needed to do it, but they accelerated everything in North America and I think on the European servers to kind of get the game caught up to Korea.
Mhm.
And when it was like close enough to caught up, they're like, all right, Korean rules now.
No shit.
So people have been talking lately. I think it's like 4 hours per 1% of experience from like level 59 to level 60.
Oh my god.
And if someone kills you, because it's kind of, PvP, or if you die, you lose an entire percent.
Ooh.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't have that much time to devote to nothing.
Yeah,
Wow.
that sounds brutal.
Why'd they make it so punishing, I wonder?
To keep people going, keep people playing
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah, Americans don't have patience for that shit. Sorry. Okay. So Cam, that's a good one. So we've got a couple. I already mentioned Dune as my first example. I'll go back to reading for my second. Since like I want to say the late 90s, put off A Song of Ice and Fire, right? And that's before it got. It was a couple volumes long, and for whatever reason, it just seemed intimidating to me. And I put that off until basically Dance of Dragons came out. So like I was like this new game release this new book release, and I'm like, holy crap! Now I better get to it now, or I'll never get to it. And so I just like started with the first book and just started. And I think the show had just come out. It was starting to build up some hype. And I'm like, I'm not going to watch the show until I read the book, so that I can be like a critic. And so I read through them all before I ever watched that show once. And I wish I hadn't, because of course that makes you like really critical of the show. But wow, totally worth it. And totally worth like the reread I'm going to have to do every time a new book comes out so that I can remember what was happening.
I gotta say,
the first one is a tough read for sure.
The first book?
The first book is it gets much better towards the end, but the first, like, I'd say probably half the book, Brian, do you think, is a slog? Well, for me it was.
Yeah, it's been a while. I don't remember exactly the point, but yeah, it was definitely different.
It starts off.
It really hooks you at the end, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, they're easing you into like this is a mundane medieval world, and magic's slowly returning. So I think it starts off as mundane and medieval at first, right, Cam? And then by the end, you're like, whoa, shit's getting kind of awesome.
Well, plus if you're not used to the whole like skipping around thing with like the different
the point of view,
different character POV, then it's and because typically you're sort of getting the narrative like straight from the writer or from the main character or the protagonist or whatever. Here it's like you're getting a whole bunch of different people, and you're left to sort of piece it together, and you don't know where it's going and what's happening, and like especially if you don't know anything about the universe or whatever. If you just picked up that book and started, it would be it was tough for me, especially when I was younger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But definitely worth it. 1,000% worth it. And the later books I don't think suffer at all from that, but definitely the first one.
He hooks you. Go ahead, Brian.
I guess I'm the like sole voice of dissent. I am coming up actually on 20 years waiting for the end of that story.
Yes, you are. You told me about it like when the first book I think came out, man.
I think that was actually the third book because I wasn't even an early adapter.
Okay.
And I gotta tell you, nothing he writes could be worth that. I'm so over it.
I just feel like I'm invested to the point now. Like I should just wait till he's done. Like if he finishes, and just not revisit these until then. But I really do want to know what happens. I really like the parallels in that world between that world and ours for like just missing the forest for the trees. They're so busy clawing each other's eyes out that they're missing the big problem on the horizon, and that is such an apt description of our current reality that I think that series really resonates. But yeah, I don't regret finally slogging through it. It didn't feel like too much of a slog.
Just the waiting. When the books come out, it's no more slog. But the decade between them.
Yeah, like that's really just, dude. Like just finish the freaking books. I know you have other projects you want to work on, so
put Fever Dream down. Finish this one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what it's not like he's just goofing around. Like he's doing other like ambitious writing projects that are distracting him from this. I don't know. More power to the guy. I just he's making it a slog where it really needed to be one.
Yeah, and at this point, he can pretty much do whatever he wants. No one's making him do anything. That's for sure.
Well, that makes it more scary because now it's not like he's hungry, right? I gotta write these books to make my living. Like he's just good to go.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll see. All right, let's do another round if you guys want.
Sure.
Don't want to make this episode a slog, so we can go through it fairly quickly. Back around to you, Brian. You got another one?
I got another one, but I can't really talk.
Hang on, there's a lot of background noise. I don't know whose channel that's on. Okay, go for it.
I got another one, but I can't really talk from personal experience because what I studied in college and university was so fascinating to me that it just seemed to like blow by. So I'm going to acknowledge that, higher education's kind of recognized as a slog, but I don't know, study what you love, I guess. I mean, unless you actually want to make any money.
Right. I was actually going to bring up my university days as a slog, since you mentioned that. I love computers and wanted to study computer science, but man, I had a tough time in some of my classes. Like I was questioning my path more than once. I don't anymore. I turned out to have a really lucrative career and a fun career, and I do stuff that I like for the most part now, and so it was worth it in the end. But yeah, I'm one of those people, Brian, who would tell you that school could be a bit of a slog. Yeah, but I'm glad I stuck to it and made it through.
I think there was one class for one semester that I really hated, and everything else was just, Gothic literature, Victorian literature, Elizabethan literature, Shakespeare history, Shakespeare tragedy, Shakespeare comedies, like the history of Shakespeare. Oh my God, just such interesting, and all I was doing was reading, like I would have been doing that for free.
Man, what a major.
Yeah.
How about you, Cam? You were no academic slouch yourself. How was school for you?
It wasn't that bad. I'm sort of like Brian in terms of it was stuff that I enjoyed, so it wasn't that big of a deal for me.
Yeah, I think like computer science is, there are like smatterings of things I enjoyed, and then things I was like, I don't really, because it's such a broad field, and there's so many aspects of it. Some of the aspects I just did not relate to, I guess. But on balance, yeah, totally worth it.
Give me 1 second, guys. My battery's dying. Hold on.
Yep.
Well, you guys can keep talking. I'm just going to plug in my laptop.
Okay. And on that note, we'll mix up the order. Maybe. I think that I will go with another one. Well, no, I'll wait. Let's just pause. We'll wait for Cam to come.
Sorry about that, guys.
No problem.
You there?
Yep, still here.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. Right, my battery is dying. So where are we at?
So Cam, that was Brian.
What's that?
So Cam, So Cam, that was Brian's second time out. What have you got for round 2?
I would say, oh God, I don't know, man. You know, I would probably, I mean, I would say the schooling thing, but you know, the more I thought about it, it wasn't that big of a deal for me. Like I said, I got through it. It wasn't anything that was so horrible that like I was like, oh God, I can't do this. I got to get through it. But you know, I will say that looking back on it now, you know, however many years later, I couldn't imagine doing it again. That's for sure. You know what I mean? And certainly, if I would have gone with the other major that I had started out in, I was going to go to medical school. It would have been that probably would have been a lot worse.
Oh, you were thinking about being a doc?
Yeah, but I hate math, so wouldn't have been very good.
I think you say that it's math intensive, Cam. Is that what stopped you, or?
Yeah, I mean, I love science, but I don't like doing like the work of science or of mathematics or equations or anything like that.
That's weird because you're somewhat analytical or you're quite analytical, and I think to be a lawyer, there's a level of analytical thinking involved. So it's strange to me that math doesn't. I'm not saying that you should be a whip at it, but that it doesn't.
Yeah,
kind of appeal to you.
I'm not bad at it, and I'm not great at it either. I'd say just average, but I don't know. Just for whatever reason, if I had to sit down with like a calculator and graphing paper, like I'd want to kill myself.
Oh, the practice of math. Okay, yeah. Okay, right. Okay, that's fair. They don't really do a lot to make math compelling, do they? Like you're just sitting down and you're learning these techniques, but nobody really tells you why.
Mm-hmm.
When you were in high school, Cam, Brian and I went to the same high school, and I think we probably were taught under the same philosophy. Did they basically, when they were assigning homework, did they tell you to skip all the word problems?
No, they actually focused on the word problems in my school.
Oh.
They made you like, I mean, of course you had to like show your work and do all that stuff. And I'm actually glad they did, because when I actually ended up going to law school, part of the law school admissions test, the LSAT, is this section called logic games, where that's where most people fall down, because there's 3 sections. There's reading comprehension, there's analytical questions, like short questions, and then there's these logic games where it's like, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G are in a row. A can't be next to whatever. You know what I mean? Like those kind of things. And I think that really, I did well on that part, which a lot of people don't, and I think that's probably what helped me.
That explains your penchant for gaming to this day.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. That maybe you remember this, Brian, because Cam learned real good in a good school. Do you remember, like, what in algebra class they would like assign, do problems, 10 through 36, skip the word problems. Like
I always found that was very weird, especially like I just had a lot easier time with word problems and the visualization. But yeah, they just like, no, do the easy stuff, get your grade, get done, get out.
Yeah, and that was even before like the FCAT and all that stuff.
Yeah, and in retrospect, I think that word problems help you visualize and apply what you're learning, because otherwise, why the hell are you doing the stuff you're doing?
Right. And if you really think about it, it's going to be in any real life situation. That's probably what it's going to be. You know what I mean? It's not going to be. You're not going to like walk into a situation and there's going to be an equation there for you to solve. It's going to be a situation where you have to like critically think through it and then apply the principles to it.
Right. Yeah, that's very much the case. That's why I always maintain that math classes, really, and most classes, should not be tests of memorization. Like, here's the book. I don't care. Bring the book with you. Bring your notes. Bring everything. Apply the knowledge you've learned.
Yeah, and I've said before, I teach at one of the local law schools here in South. Well, I'm in Dallas now, but in South Florida. And I tell my students the first day, I don't care if you know the statute. You know what I mean? With Google these days, anyone can Google a statute. It doesn't, you're not going to impress me by regurgitating what's in the book or on Google. What I want you to do is be able to take that and then apply it to a real life scenario, because that's what you have to do.
Yes. Yes, and I cannot think of of a scenario in which an engineer, hey, we need to get some calculations to, build this bridge. Okay. No, you're not allowed to use a calculator. Oh, okay. No computers, just from memory. Just write out these equations. Check.
Right.
Show your work. Like, no, that's not the way the world works.
Exactly. But yeah, so I guess that sort of led us in a roundabout way to my answer. It would be any science and math class I ever had.
Okay. You toughed through it. It was enlightening to an extent and enriching, but did not determine your career course necessarily. Okay. That brings it around to me. I could talk more and more about school, but I won't. I will bring up something near and dear to all of our hearts. The Nerdstravaganza podcast, this very show. We are now recording our 237th episode, so if we average a little less than 52 a year, what are we on, 5 years now with this thing?
I think October is our anniversary, so
yeah,
I don't know, 4 years and 5 episodes.
It's been quite a run, yeah, and man, I have my ups and downs still to this day with the show because it's one of those things where like you don't know really where the goal the show is the goal, kind of, and it's work. Like people who are out there contemplating podcasting understand that there is a level of work involved, which is why most people I think quit fairly quickly.
Mm-hmm.
There's a level of work involved, and there's not necessarily any material gain to be had, at least not easily or right away, right? Like,
absolutely. And it's certainly a commitment. You know what I mean? It's not like you can just, people think, oh, you just jump on for an hour and you're done. You know what I mean? But there's like so much more that goes into it with editing and this and that. It's not just and I mean, it might seem simple to just you meet once a week, but like even that, like life doesn't allow that a lot of times.
Yeah, it's just being consistent every week is a big commitment. Like there's times you're like, shit, I have the podcast to do today and it conflicts with something, but you have to prioritize it. And, again, you're prioritizing something that you're doing for the sake of doing it, mm-hmm. I think. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, but I think it's worth it though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say like, maybe it's the definition of slog. Maybe it's the definition of slog. I've never really felt like that I didn't want to do this. I mean, sure, it's a lot of work sometimes. And I mean, I've always said, some episodes are better than others, but for the most part, it's enjoyable.
Yeah. I enjoy the conversations usually. Well, always. And, when I'm walking down the street and a fan sees me and walks up and wait.
You joke. I'm the only one, huh? Like,
yeah, I have no fans. Nobody likes me. Nobody ever even oh, you're on the show. Oh, neat. That would be the most rewarding thing to me though, is if we had a community and we had some interactions more so than we do now. That would really make me happy. Just because I feel like I'm connecting with other people more. Most podcasts, I understand this is a common problem. You have listeners, but oh yeah, I'll write into these guys. They don't really have time. They're too busy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm guilty. I listen to a ton of podcasts, and I don't ever write in or comment. I don't have the time. I can't, So sometimes it feels like you're just screaming into the abyss, and no one's screaming back. But we know you're out there, listeners. We know you're out there.
Well, speaking of a slog and our listeners, when are these goddamn Rogue One tickets going to go on sale so we can give some away?
Oh, yeah. Hey, that's a good question, Cam. And good thing you guys have slogged it out through this episode to hear about that. Cam, why don't you go ahead and lay out for our audience members who don't know, but particularly those who are in the South Florida area or want to be down here when Rogue One debuts, let them know what we're planning.
Yes, we are going to be renting an entire theater here in South Florida for the Rogue One. Well, I wouldn't say the premiere. It's going to be within probably a week of the premiere of the movie. And we are going to give away several tickets to our listeners to come hang out with us and watch Rogue One for free. Who wouldn't want to do that?
Yeah. Jerks would not want to do that. Only jerks.
Yeah. So like you said, Tom, if they are in the South Florida area, that's great. If they are not, well, if you want to come, be our guest, but we're not going to pay for your air for a hotel or anything. But we will have a ticket if you want to come to South Florida for a $12 ticket. We're happy to have you. And it's going to be fun.
I could rent you some couch space depending on what you're willing to pay and how bad you smell. So
yes,
let me know.
Those
anyway,
are the main factors.
Anyway, yeah, all the more reason to listen and pay attention and make it this deep into the show. Once in a lifetime offers like this are to be had only to those who listen carefully and diligently to the show and slog through each episode with us.
Yeah. I'm actually going to say, I'm going to go on record right now and say the first 5 people that send us an email after this episode will get tickets.
There you go. And the next 5 people after that will probably also get tickets.
Maybe. We'll see.
There it is. You will know our email if you listen to the end of the show because we tell you the email at the end of every show. So shoot us an email about those Rouge 1 tickets and we'll see what we can do.
Yes.
Sweet. This is going to be great. Now, if we don't get the theater, we're going to be like, we'll buy you tickets at your local theater. How's that?
Yeah.
We won't. I'm not committing to that right now.
No, yes, we make no commitments.
All right, guys. Well, I think we've slogged through this episode. I thought it was cool. Kind of an interesting. Nothing like waking up groggy in the morning, seeing a book you haven't read, and coming up with an episode idea.
Get on that, man. You won't regret it.
I won't. Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things, and I will make it a point of starting that soon. I actually have a paper copy too, not an ebook. Okay. With that said, then I think we can probably begin to say our farewells, unless you guys have anything else.
Not me.
Okay. That said, trudge on over to iTunes, Stitcher, Pocket Cast, or Google Play Music anytime you want to join us on our weekly adventures.
Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, add us to your Google circle, and join the Nerdstravaganza HQ group on Facebook.
Check out our website, nerdstravaganza.com. Check us out on YouTube. Just type in Nerdstravaganza into the handy-dandy search bar, and see all of our premium video content for your eyeball pleasure. And send us an email at nerdstravaganza@gmail.com. Like I said, first 5 listeners that send us an email will get free Rogue One tickets.
5 Rouge 1s. Do not miss out. And with all that said, Rogue Leader Brian, take us away.
Rouge 5. I'm going in.
I really regret that I don't work at a movie theater so I can hear all the people who actually say it that way.
Oh, just remember your days of Babbage's.
I can
if
never
I heard that, if I heard someone say that, it would be hard for me to restrain myself.
As Brian just said, you should have been. He reminded me of the Babbage's days. If you'd been there, you would have lost it. Yo, you got Siphon Fighter? Do you mean Siphon Filter? Yeah, whatever. Yeah, we got it.
Final Fantasy Vi?
Vi.
No, sorry, sold out.
You got Paradise Eve? Paradise Evil?
I did get Presidential Evil once. You got
Yes.
Presidential Evil?
Hey, don't get political with me, sir.
Wow.
All right, guys. Audience, good night. Make sure you write us for those tickets and stay safe, whole, and happy until we slog through the next episode with you. Goodbye.
Peace.